welcome to this wonderful webinar. I'm so happy you're here. We are going to be talking about abundance and scarcity. It has been a huge amount of work that I have done on myself. It's what's allowed me to lose 50 pounds without exercise or working out, also without counting calories. It's been awesome. So this work, I really want to invite you to just take this in. And for all my fellow Canadians, I'm wearing my red and white shirt. Today is Canada Day. So welcome and happy Canada Day to my Canadian friends and to my American friends and wherever else you're from. So fun to see all of you hopping on here. So nice to see all of you. So welcome. I really want you to feel welcome. People are still popping on. So I will quickly introduce myself. My name is Dara Thomason. I am the life and weight loss coach for quilters. That's right. All my clients are quilters. In fact, one time I had a lady who wanted to work with me. She wasn't quite a quilter, so she took a quilting class, so that when we did all of the quilting analogies and all of that, she felt that she knew. And she actually really enjoyed her quilting class and has had a lot of fun building her quilting skills. So that's super fun. So today I want to, and I'm a certified weight and life coach through the Life Coach School. And I have been coaching women, helping them lose mental and physical weight for over a year and almost 2 years now. And so one of the things that I get a lot with the ladies I work with, they say, I just thought I was going to lose some weight. I had no clue I was going to have such a transformation. So I love that I can do that for them. And I truly do want to emphasize that to lose the weight permanently, take that weight off and lose it for good, you've got to do this work. And so that's why I have a YouTube channel, and it has lots and lots of information. I will be, because I believe that knowledge is power. And so when you can learn more, then you can see more. And then of course, I teach the tools, the actual tools to help you create that result, those results for yourself of permanent weight loss, and then keeping it off, of course, by doing that. And we've got to work on this part. So today's course is amazing. I have been thinking about these concepts for quite a while, and they have been a guiding force in the success that I have had. So not only have I lost the 50 pounds and kept it off, but I am building a very exciting and thriving business. And all of that is because of the tools that I use. And today's tool has been a great asset to helping me break through a lot of those barriers that I have set for myself. So I want to ask you, you can put it in the chat or you can just write it down yourself. What are some of the barriers you had? Now, as I introduce the class, I asked them questions of like, can you relate to this? So I want you to just in here, if I'm like, if this is resonating with you, you can just put a little check mark. So the title of this program, this course today, is how to work through the never-ending feeling, the never enough feeling. So how often has that come up for you? I'm not smart enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not organized enough. If only I was more like her, if I had better skills, or if I had more money, or if I like, there's some version of not enoughness. Okay, so I'm gonna ask you some questions. I have 2 pages of these, so I want you to just do some checking. You never have enough time to finish everything you want. By the end of the day, are you like, oh, I never have enough time. Like, this is crazy. Okay, so you feel like you never have enough time. You're totally overwhelmed by your stash. You're overwhelmed by your to-do list. You feel like, how am I ever going to get everything done? So you're just like questioning yourself and your ability to finish something. Your relationships with others are draining. How often do you say like, oh, if only that person would, if only this could be? and you're really feeling like this is very exhausting, like draining. You don't feel like you are putting your best foot forward. How often do you interact with someone and say, I wish I could do a do-over? I don't think I represented myself well. You just kind of question yourself. You think, oh, that was, and then like several days later or throughout the day, you think, oh, if only I could. And so you're feeling very, yeah, it's like you're collecting evidence for yourself that, oh man, it's not that good. I'm not doing that good. So you look back with a lot of regret. How often do you spend time in your day thinking, oh, if only I would have? The woulda, coulda, shoulda? Does that like play out in your mind a lot? So if how you don't have to say it on the chat. And I do actually love interaction. So I got to put my chat box up here. It's so fun, by the way, to see so many of you on here. I just want to shout you out. I love that you're taking this time for yourself. Like, really, that's amazing. You are here helping your brain, like the most powerful asset we have that often, and we'll talk about that, how often you hide from your brain. But I just want to like really give you a lot of love, like way to go, way to be here. And so to get the most out of this, I do encourage you to turn off your cell phones, turn off your notifications on your computer, put yourself, maybe shut the door, put a like busy sign on there, give yourself this opportunity of growth. And I love writing things down, especially I invite you, if there's something that's super triggering, like that has really like spurred you into action or like got you really curious, just make a note of it. Don't worry about this recording. It will be sent. If you're not on my email list, make sure you're on my email list because I send out the recording tomorrow. And if you're not, you need to get on it. And second of all, this will also be posted on my YouTube page. So that is also available for you. Okay, now let's keep going. Let's see about the check marks. You find yourself comparing your life to others. How often do you do that? You scroll on social media and then afterwards you feel kind of down. Like while you're doing it, it's like, okay, I got it just a little longer, because it's very similar to eating. We're chasing a feeling, right? When you're eating a chocolate bar, that first bite, oh, it's so good. It feels so good. And then you feel kind of gross. You're like, oh, I better have another bite, another bite, another bite. And so that's what's chasing a feeling. And it's very similar situation with social media. Okay. So after you spent that time, you feel kind of down. You're not quite hitting the mark you've set for yourself. So you're often feeling like, so you're never really giving yourself praise. Like, let's say you finally are working on this one UFO and the couple things don't go well. So you just beat yourself up for that. And you don't ever give yourself the acknowledgement of like, yeah, but I'm working on this UFO and I'm always learning. I'm in the process. Okay. So is that you? How's that feeling? Okay. You spend a large part of your day hiding. So with being fixated on what should I eat, making food, on social media, checking your email, looking on Pinterest, being maybe even reading books that are maybe not so uplifting. Maybe you're watching a lot of TV. Maybe you're having a lot of like gossip. Maybe you're talking a lot with like gossiping, or you're blaming other people. Like just kind of get curious about like how, if we were to do an inventory of how you spent your time, or maybe you're spending a lot of time. I was just coaching one of my clients today, and she was talking about how often she just thinks of herself really badly. And she goes to the past a lot, and she thinks of all the things that she questions herself a lot. Like she had a dog pass away, and it was totally not her fault. One of the workers in the yard let the door open, and the dog got run over, and she blames herself, even though it had nothing to do with her. So are you spending a lot of time in that, where you just do a lot of blaming and taking responsibility for things that weren't yours to take responsibility for? Okay. At the end of the day, do you feel tired but don't have a lot accomplished? You're like, I don't really know what I did. But whatever you did, it just feels like it doesn't feel very good. Okay. You aren't totally aware of your finances. You leave it to others. and you don't ever take like responsibility for any of that. And then you feel a lot of guilt associated, because if you do go shopping or if you do sign up for something and you spend money, it's like, it really feels terrible afterwards. In the moment, it feels great, but then you start beating yourself up again. And do you find you blame others for why you aren't having the life you want? Okay, so I'm curious I think there was probably 15. I wonder how many of those do you relate to? Okay. All right. So do you want to know why that's happening? So this is why. I'm going to solve your mystery. You spend a lot of time in your lower brain, and your lower brain is actually there to help you to survive. And so there's nothing wrong with the lower brain. In fact, we're really glad we have a lower brain. We're glad that the lower brain makes sure that we don't burn ourselves and make sure that we don't get run over by a car. It makes sure that we don't never eat, so then we die because we don't have any energy. It also helps us to stay safe in lots of areas. So there's a lot of really good things about the lower brain, but the problem is the lower brain is wired for us to survive. We don't really need to worry about getting run over by a herd of buffaloes anymore. We don't really need to worry about starving because we have a lot of food. We don't really need to worry about being rejected from our tribe. Like, they're not going to hang us on a stick and burn us. Like, we're not going to be left outside the wagon circle and being the first one to be eaten if a bear or coyote, a cougar or something comes by. Like, we have houses and we have grocery stores, we have police officers, we have laws. We've never been safer. Even with COVID, we've got a vaccine now, and we have masks, and we have social distancing. We have we have hand sanitizer. Like, it's amazing. Even during a pandemic, we've been able to stay fairly safe. We have a lot of science and a lot of protocols that have helped us. Okay. So if you're spending a lot of time in this lower brain, and we're not giving ourselves the opportunity to because it is a privilege to think about our thinking. As humans, we have the privilege to do that. And so if we are not taking responsibility for ourselves and we're kind of at the mercy of the survival brain, then we aren't able to have the results that we want because we're not fully driving. Okay. The other solution to the mystery solved is you don't believe in yourself. There's not enoughness, and you have all the proof. So if you have been believing, and I'm going to tell you, ever since I was 5 years old, I felt like I wasn't enough. I felt like I couldn't keep my room clean enough. I couldn't do all the things my mom wanted me to do. And so I started even at 5, and I think I'm going to venture to guess maybe a lot of you also did this because we're just all humans. We have been collecting evidence that we're not enough. So if we had this thought like, oh, I'm not enough, I'm not good enough, I didn't clean my room properly, or I didn't help with the dishes, or I missed a spot when I was washing, yeah, I guess I'm not enough. So we have like a whole folders and like file cases of us thinking we're not enough. We've kind of convinced ourselves, and the lower brain is like, we got to be safe. Okay. But we actually, if we gave a file folder full of evidence that we are enough, I mean, we live in homes. Probably most of us drive cars. We pay bills. Like, we have jobs. We've raised children. A lot of us are grandchildren, or we've kept jobs. Like, we actually are really amazing. We actually are we're more than enough. But if our brain has always been looking for evidence, I mean, I see one of the ladies on here, and one of her jobs is she collects information about owls in her state. So her job is to collect data for the patterns of these certain owls. Okay. So she is not taking any information about bears or about other birds even. And actually, I don't even think that she needs to worry about other kind of owls. I think she just has one specific owl. So then her brain is super focused on just looking for and collecting data on that thing. And our brains have been doing that. And if you're like me, since you were 5 years old or 10 or whatever. Okay. So we just need to be aware of our thinking. And when we can do that, then we can give ourselves what's called equal airtime. And then we don't believe you have had the right opportunities to have had that life. So a lot of us will go to blame, right? So this is a feeling of shame, like I'm not enough. And then this is an area of blame of like, if I had a different family, or if I have a different country I grew up in, if I would have had a better teacher, or if I had more money growing up or less money, I wouldn't, whatever that is. And so what all of this, these are all factors, and you've all heard me talk about this before, but today we're going to be talking about mindset and the filter of scarcity. Okay, so we're talking about if everything that you're looking for in that vision is all about lack, that is a mindset of scarcity. And a mindset of scarcity is what's causing us so much trouble. Okay. So I will get more into that of scarcity, but this is what I'm curious about where you're at right now. So where do you want to be? Now, if I have missed some, I want to invite you to put them in the chat. Okay. So I'm going to have like where I think you want to be. And then if I miss some, you put them in the chat. Okay. So you want to be totally in control of your life. You're like, I just want to be the driver. I just want to be the one in charge. You want to feel happy and satisfied with the life you have. You're like, you know what? I picked that husband. And when I picked him, I loved him. I don't want to feel angry and mad about him. Or I was so happy to have that job. And I did all that work to have that job. I want to feel happy about it. Or I want to feel happy in my retirement. I've been saving this money. I made a lot of sacrifices. I want to enjoy retirement. I want to enjoy the life I have. Okay. So you want to feel happy and satisfied with the life you have. You want to feel calm about how things are. You're like, I know life is back and forth, but I just always want to have it like some level of calm about all of it. Okay. You have enough time to do what you want. Wouldn't that be like, I love that idea. I always have enough time. And then complete and whole. I want to just be like my best version of me when I come to relationships. I really like it when I just show up as like powerful, like me with whoever I'm talking to, even the person at the grocery store. I love that I can be fun. I love that I can be polite, even with like when homeless people or whatever it is. It's just like, I like being me. And then abundant in the life you have. So I always want to feel like I always have enough. And like one of the things that I like, we're going to talk about a little bit, but I was going to mention it here. Like, so today, of course, is Canada Day. And I love saying like, I love living in a free country. I love that I have clean water. I love that I have police that keep me safe. I love that I have the internet and that I have electricity. I love that I have beautiful trees to look at. I love that there's water. I love that there's diversity. I love that there's so many different people that live here. And I love all the places. Anywhere I live, I'm going to love it. Okay. I've just decided that already. Okay. So let's go to, did I miss any? Was there any ones that I put there that I missed? Are there other things that you want in your life that I hadn't mentioned? Okay. So I do love these webinars to be interactive, and that's super fun. Okay. All right. So let's go to, what have you tried? So a lot of us have tried a lot of things. You're like, Dara, I've heard about scarcity and abundance. And especially if you watch and listen to any podcasts or just any sort of like self-help, any of that kind of stuff. They are like, it seems like it's quite a buzzword of like scarcity and abundance. And all you have to do is just think of your thinking and then you'll be fine. Okay. I hear you. I hear you out there. I was a little skeptical myself. It's all good. So I want you to, what do you relate to? Okay. This is what I want to ask you. So you've tried budgets and planners and courses and discipline and reward systems and diets and seeking others' approvals. Okay. Are there any other things that you have tried to feel enough? Because we're talking about the whole point of this course, this masterclass, is how do we feel enough? How do we give ourselves this like enoughness? Because I venture to say that most of you have been fighting or trying to be enough for your whole life. I kind of like think about it as we're in a muddy swamp and we're trying to run, and it's really hard because it's like, and it's because when it's difficult, you think, oh, if I was smarter, if I was prettier, if I was more clever, if I was more organized, if I was more congenial, or I was more friendly, or I was more taller, if I was thinner, like, because it's hard what we're trying to do. And instead of just saying, yeah, this is amazing, I'm going to gain more muscle, and it doesn't matter how long it takes for me to get there, right? Just like you're having all this evidence coming back of like, well, if I was this, if I was that, right? It feels really hard and it's not awesome. Where you could actually think, if you're walking through mud, you're like, wow, my muscles are getting very toned. And it's not a race. I'm learning, right? So do you see like even that difference of that example? Okay. So we have tried to become enough. And so we've tried budgets. Now, the problem with budgets and trying to say like, I'm enough, or this is going to go well, is that we plan from scarcity. So I know for my husband and I, we'll have saved money, we'll saved, and something will happen. And then my husband will say something like, see, we can never get ahead. You can never get ahead in life. And so he was always looking for the evidence of when something came up, rather than saying, isn't it amazing that we saved $5,000? And so if there are emergencies, we can just pay it. But if we're looking for evidence that, see, we can never get ahead, then it feels very like restricted and constrained. And it feels very like a discipline. Like I really do want you to, as I'm giving these examples, you may have some physical responses, and you may have, and I want you just to allow them. And I want you to really relate this to your own life, because when you can relate it to your own life, then you can have more learning. And when you have the learning, for me, learning as a former educator, and I know there's like several former educators on here, when we have true learning, it means we have changed behavior. So my goal for you being here is that you can learn and change your behavior so that you will be better when you leave. One of the things that I say to my kids is anytime we go, there's lots of hiking, and we can do lots of hiking their whole lives. And I always say to them, we always need to leave the trail better than we found it. Always. And that's kind of how I like to think about everything. Every time I go on an Instagram story, every time I do free training, every time I, even in the, like for my paid ladies, I always want to leave them better than when they came. Every one of my emails that you all open, every single one, I said, I want to leave you better than you came. Because when you can learn these things, and if you can just shift your thinking, you will be a better person. You will show up better for yourself. Okay. So that is my goal for you. And we are working on how do you overcome this not enoughness? How do you overcome this scarcity? So if you are planning from scarcity, right, your lens of like, it's never enough, when are we going to get ahead? All of that, you will always look for evidence that that's true. Okay. And the other problem with that is now it's providing ammunition that your life is not enough. So you're not even giving yourself the opportunity to see all the things that you have. I mean, I would just like even the idea that you have clean drinking water free for you. You just turn on a tap. You don't have to go and get some buckets and walk 10 miles or whatever. Okay. Even when I was, we lived on a farm. Actually, one of you is on here, and she lives not far from where I used to live. And in fact, she actually came to my farm because we had a horse arena and we had a horse show. And I'm pretty sure she said she came. Right. And I remember the water that we had was well water and it wasn't that great. And so to get White's White, my mom had to go get a bucket, like these big containers, and we got what we didn't borrow. We got water from neighbors in town, and we would bring that water. And then she would go to the laundromat once every 2 weeks or something, so that she could have her whites be white. And so, and she was like, it's a privilege for her to do that because she's like, I get to live on a farm and I get to have horses. So, and she had this abundant mindset of like, it's amazing that I can just get this bucket of water and I can just go into town and I can just read a book while I do this, right? So it's just the way we think about things. Now, planners. How many of you would struggle with time? You can proverbially put your hand up. I never have enough time. My stash is so big. I have all these projects I want to do, like all these really cool block of the months. How am I ever going to get everything done? Okay. Or even like with having like pleasure time. It's like, I never have enough time because I'm always so busy. So we try planners, but the problem is our filter of not enough just gave us proof that that's true. My husband is up for, yes, my hand is up for not enough time. I just sit here unmotivated. Yeah. So this is the problem. You don't go into, I'm really curious is if you think you don't have enough time, by the way, if I was to do it as a model, you would feel overwhelmed. And when we feel overwhelmed, that leads to inaction. So then it just proves that we don't have enough time. So if we go into that scarcity mindset, we're literally just, it's like the, what is that? What they say? It's the, oh, come on. Fortune. No, what is it? Oh my goodness. You are basically telling your future. What is that expression? Come on, Nancy. Anyone. It's like what you say is what you are. It's self-fulfilling prophecy. There we go. I did it. It's like it was in my brain. So that's the problem, right? And this is what I'm talking about. So you have a filter of I'm not enough. And if that is how you believe things, then that is how you will see it. So I have my favorite glasses. I'm going to bring them out. So I have these awesome glasses. In fact, I bought them because when we're quilting, who has a pair of red lens glasses? I like webinars, but I don't. I love seeing your faces. But they actually, at a quilt shop I used to work at, when you have the red lens glasses, it actually helps you see the mix of your colors when you're quilting. Because we do the trick where you take a picture of black and white on your phone, and then you can see that. So that's just like a little, that's right, Marlene. So when you have the filter of these glasses, everything I see now is tinged with red. So if everything I see is with I'm not enough, then everything will prove to be not enough. And that's what a scarcity mindset is. Okay. All right. So courses. So you can take a course, and even ladies who take my course, if they don't believe that they will lose weight, they won't. And actually, it was really interesting. I had my last course that just finished last week. She had a lot of doubt, and it was very interesting. She lost 12.4 pounds, even though she had a ton of doubt, and there was a lot of scarcity there. And then when I coached her on the very last day, and she actually saw all the ways that she did get her own results, she was kind of thinking, well, Dara says she has a 12-pound guarantee and blah, blah, blah. And then when she realized that she had done all those things, she was the one who created those results for her. The very next day, she lost 4 more pounds. And now she's on the road to owning and believing that she's the one who did it. So fascinating. Okay. So the problem with the course is it's other person's method that did not get to the root cause. So if you're not giving yourself the opportunity to go and explore and see what's happening, you're just going to stay the same. And if it's that scarcity filter, it's always going to stay the same. It is amazing to me because a lot of my clients are within the 50 to 80-year-old range. And there are women that have kept hold of the same story since they were 10 years old. And so of course they don't change. So if they go to someone's course or they get a planner or if they get a budget, this budget, they're not discovering what's going on for them. They're not solving their own problem. And life coaching literally is like taking a 4-car garage that's full of stuff and we're going through each box and we're figuring out what's working, what's not. Our heads have a lot of thoughts. And in fact, a thought, if you nurture that thought, becomes a belief. And then when you have a belief, it just becomes like, that's just like who you are. You don't even question it anymore, right? Kind of like a habit. And a habit is formed after 21 days. The body's like, oh, wait a minute, we're going to conserve energy. This person's doing the same thing over and over again. Let's get a system so that we can save energy. It's awesome, right? So, but we have a lot of beliefs that don't serve us. Like some of us believe that menopause, you have to just gain weight. No. Some of us believe that if your mom was overweight, you're going to be overweight. No, it has nothing to do with that. Some of us believe, right, that if you're not a certain weight, then you can't be happy. Right? But if you're doing what everyone else says and you don't believe you're enough, then you're never going to change. All right, discipline. So some of us believe that if we're really mean to ourselves and we really grind it out, and it has to be really difficult, we have to earn it, we have to deserve it, then that's how we're going to have success. I don't know. Has anyone watched the Matilda? There's like Trunchbull and Miss Honey. And Trunchbull, she's like a terrible school matron. She's awful. And she has a chokey and she puts these kids in this like closet that has like nails sticking out. And then there's Miss Honey, who's like, come here, sweetheart, come in my lap. I'm going to teach you how to do math. It's going to be fine. And if you have any questions, it's no problem. I have all the time in the world for you. Okay. How often are we Miss Trunchbull to ourselves rather than Miss Honey? We think we have to grind it out. It has to be hard. We have to deserve it. That's all from scarcity. Okay. Of not enoughness. Scarcity has a lot of worry. Scarcity is like really, and also it's also like, what's in it for me? Because there's only a limited amount. And so it's like, what's in it for me? I'm only going to do that if it's what's in it for me. Okay. Reward systems. You have to treat yourself. But the problem with that is you're not taking responsibility for yourself because you're basically treating yourself like a child. And a child doesn't know how to take responsibility for themselves because a child is in the care of adults. It's always interesting to me when I was a school teacher and, I actually had to teach the kids when they were 10 and 11 years old, this is how you start a worksheet. You put your name on it and you put the date on it and you put this and you do that. I literally had to walk them through everything. But if we don't take the time to teach them, it's like, that's so sad of us to expect that. And we expect that from ourselves, but we haven't given ourselves the opportunity to learn. So I thought by 10 years old, they would know how to do this, but apparently they don't. So I had a little list on the board and I said, this is what to expect. This is what I want. This is what your sheet looks like. Okay. So if we don't give ourselves that opportunity for growth, we're still that 10-year-old going, I don't know how to do stuff. I don't know about weight loss science. I don't know about monitoring my weight. I don't know about eating. I was just told to eat whatever's on my plate. So I didn't learn how to understand my hunger. And I was just told, eat this. I didn't know about, proteins and fats. And I didn't know about snacking. I didn't know that snacking raised my insulin. right? But if you don't give yourself the opportunity for growth, you're going to stay like a stuck 10-year-old, even when you're 60 years old, right? Okay, diets. I was just getting into that one. So it's other people's truths and other people telling you what to do. So you have no self-discovery. You don't learn how to solve for yourself. You don't understand your own uniqueness. I have clients who are losing 50, 60, 70, 80 pounds, 30 pounds, 25 pounds. I don't know what they eat. Doesn't matter. But I teach them the protocol. I teach them weight loss science is simple. I teach them about the hormones. I teach them that, and then they will figure it out for themselves. They walk on the scale every day. I step on the scale. They drink their water. They can figure that out. It's so amazing. And then the last thing that you've probably tried to overcome this not enoughness is I call it the triple P, perfectionism. If I do it perfectly, then I don't have to have anyone yell at me, or I can prove that I'm enough. Okay. The problem is we're human, and learning is kind of messy. Learning actually has always been trial and error. So we set ourselves up for failure there. The second P is procrastination. Procrastination is like, I don't want to fail. I don't want to make a mistake. I don't want to have that negative emotion. I don't want to have that criticism, because that's just going to show that I'm not enough. So procrastination is it's like self-preservation in a lot of ways. Okay. And then the third P is people pleasing. So it's like, okay, well, if I can make this person and that person and this person like me, then I can feel like I'm okay. So perfectionism, people pleasing, and procrastination, those are all three ways of trying to make ourselves feel better and to try to get out of this not enoughness. But we're actually compounding the problem, because we're at all three of those triple Ps, we're all stepping out of our own power. We are more worried about what other people think of us than what we think of ourselves. Do you see how detrimental that is? And so now we're never really knowing who we are. So that's why I have women that are 50, 60, 70, 80 years old. They don't even really know themselves, because they have been trying to people please and perfect and procrastinate for so long because they don't want to have a negative emotion. So who can all relate to that? So Marlene, do you have your hand up because you want to have a question, or because you're disagreeing with me? Oh, just did that for a huge garage sale this week. Yeah, perfect. Okay. All right. So this is the process that works. You hit the jackpot today. So we need to have our mindset filters. So a scarcity mindset filter. So imagine, what color is scarcity in your mind? And what color is abundance? It's kind of fun. Like if we were to put the glasses on, what color lens would scarcity be? What do you think? Let's have some fun. Tell me the color you think it would be. I want to hear it on the chat. What color is scarcity? Like if we were to put those on your face, what color would it be? Red. Yeah. And then what would abundance be? Okay. So scarcity mindset says, I need to eat cake at a birthday. How can I go to a birthday and not eat cake? Or how can I go on a vacation or go to a family reunion or have an anniversary and not eat the food? Like that is crazy. That just doesn't happen. Right? Versus if I had, okay. So if you can put it in the chat versus the Q&A, that would be good, because I can only have one of those boxes open. So that'd be great. Okay. So I was like, I have to eat birthday cake, but I want, like if someone said to me, hey, or to you, hey, do you want a cigarette? Would you say yes? I mean, if you're a smoker, then of course you would say yes. But if you don't smoke and someone says, hey, do you want a cigarette? You'd be like, no. Because like out of abundance, you're like, it doesn't matter what they think about me. What I think about me is most important. And I really love my body. And I've read studies and I know that like putting that kind of stuff in my body isn't helpful. So you don't feel bad or people pleasing or whatever. You're just like, no, thanks. Okay. So what's this all about? Why would saying like, oh no, like I have to eat candies on my birthday, or I have to eat the birthday cake, or I can't just go to a family reunion and not eat candy. I can't go on a vacation and not eat all the ice cream. I can't go on a summer's day. Okay. Like, where is that coming from? Another example is time to finish UFOs. You're like, there's no way I can't. Is that even true? It's like, do we even need to finish all the UFOs? Have you already had as much fun as you planned with them? I have the Perfection Recovery Program, and I wrote the book, and it's a 12-step guide. And then at the end, I have a UFO challenge. And one of the questions I asked is, have you had as much fun with this project as you think? And if it is, then you just let it go. And you just have this level of abundance of like, I did, and that's fine. Other than with this one, it's like, I have to grind it out. I have to work it through. I'm the one who bought this fabric. I'm going to have to, right? Do you see how that's coming back in different themes? Okay. I could never. How many of us have that feeling of like, oh, I could never be a person that could do a webinar, or I could never be a person that weighs what I weighed when I got married, or I could never be a person that is the president of the guild or whatever. It's like, we're just not that. I'm just not that person. Okay. And then, oh, here, I could never get to a number on the scale and stay there. It's so interesting because even ladies in my own program, they will lose the weight, but they will stop doing the mental work that's required and they'll start gaining it again. And then the problem is that scarcity mindset comes and says, see, I told you, you couldn't lose the weight and keep it off. See, you were right. And now you just wasted that money and time in Derek's program. No. And the reason I can say that that's not true is because I have so many women that have lost so much weight and keeping it off because they have adopted more of an abundant mindset. So let's look at that. I'm using the contrast here. So like eating at a birthday party or at a vacation or family reunion or whatever it is, you can have this like, I will always take care of this beautiful body. So I like to give the example of when I first got my first life coach back in 2018. It was the end of July because she challenged me to do no flour, sugar for 6 weeks. And we were going on our vacation. We were driving down big road trip to Montana. And Montana, we went there for many years in a row, and we always had the same ice cream. We did the same things, and we had our anniversary then. And I thought, how could I do that? And it was so interesting because I thought, well, I'm always going to take care of this body. And it's really important for me to have no sugar and flour for 6 weeks because I got to like get rid of a lot of stuff. And so I started getting super curious. And I was like, well, not everyone eats. Like if someone had like a big allergy to lactose intolerance, they don't eat ice cream on holidays. And if someone had like gluten intolerance, they don't have pies or cakes on their anniversary. They don't even have picnic sandwiches. What do they do? And so I'm like so loving my body and so loving this transformation I'm going to give my body that I got super curious. And I went on Pinterest and I did all sorts of fun things. I got some bubbly water. I got some essential oils. I like made sure I took care of me. I had beautiful like meats and vegetables and cheese and like red peppers and yellow peppers and all these amazing vegetables and fruit. And I just felt so good about myself. I was like, wow, I'm really good at taking care of me. I don't have the shame spirals and all that. And I don't feel that like bloating and all that after eating. So fun. It's like, I can always take care of me. And then here, time to finish UFOs. This one's a big one for, I know, a lot of you, and myself included. I will always learn to prioritize my time and improve my time. And I will always take care of that. I will always honor the time that I've been given, and I will do that. So for example, even in my business, I say I only give myself this much time to do a webinar. I only give myself this much time to do an email. So that way I teach my brain, think about it. When you did a test in school, what happened? Your teacher was like, here's the test. You have 2 hours. So what did your brain do? Your brain was like, oh, we have 2 hours. You read it, you prioritize, you do it, done. Isn't that fascinating? And I actually teach in my program, how to collect data and do all of that so that you can be more powerful in learning to trust yourself with this abundant mindset. And then I could never, right? So even I have this thought that sometimes pops through, our family, we don't do those things. So fascinating. So why couldn't I? I question it with a lot of compassion. I like to talk about being a really curious 3-year-old. It's why? Why couldn't I do that? Why not? Right? I remember the first time I said out loud, I wanted to be an international quilting instructor. I thought that lightning would strike me dead. Who are you? You have 5 kids. You live in Central Alberta. You have a 2-year-old. Or I guess maybe he was 3. You can't do that. That's crazy. And guess what I did? I was an international quilting instructor. I went across Canada. I went to the US. People flew me down. We recorded videos. I did it. If I wasn't courageous and brave to say it, who knows? I even have a teacher's award ribbon hanging over there. So fun. So even thinking about that, it's oh, I could never get to that number on the scale and stay there. Why? Weight loss science is simple. Emotions are the key to the universe. And then you get to create a future you whom you love being. Okay? So scarcity comes from 2 areas. Lack of belief in our abilities and ourselves, and lack of belief in a higher power. Okay? That's where it comes from. So it's literally just your belief in you. That's it. So guess what you can do? You can work on your belief in yourself. And if you open your mind to saying, well, I'm pretty good at this thing, and I'm pretty good at that thing, and how you show up in one area is how you show up in other areas. So I could just translate those skills to other skills. I mean, think about how good you got at your jobs, or think about how good you got with even half square triangles. Think about how good you got at tying your shoes. You don't have to think about it anymore. You're so good at it. Okay? So you don't even question your lack of belief in those things. Now, abundance is, scarcity comes from lack of belief in ourselves, lack of belief in our higher power. So there's a lot of worry and selfish, what's in it for me? Because you're there's not enough. Okay? Whereas abundance is compassionate, it's unconditional love, it's trust, faith, focus on intention, bigger vision of things, right? Bigger picture, non-judgment, curious, open, non-critical, lifelong learning, granting permission. I'll always figure things out. You don't have to put all these timelines on yourself. Okay, so how can you relate? Scarcity. So these were just some examples, but so the phone charger is starting to go, and you're I need to find it. It's almost dead. And you start panicking, and then everything else seems sleep. How often do you freak out when you're the sleep thing? You're I'm not going to be able to get to sleep. I'm not going to be able to get to sleep. And then you just freak out. Whether you could just be you know what? If I need to have a nap later, I can. I'm just going to lay here. It's no big deal. Right. But if you're out of scarcity, it's just there's only so much time to sleep. Right. Food at a retreat or family party. It's but this is just the food that they gave me, and it's not in my protocol, and it doesn't really serve me, but there's no other food, and what am I going to do? I mean, we could just dine in, or you could always just bring your own food, right? Fabric line. How many times do you have that scarcity like, oh, they only printed so much fabric, I must buy this. Or they only have it at this time, I must have it. And if it's out of scarcity, it feels very compelling and you have to do it, right? Paying bills. It's like, oh, I have to pay these bills. This is terrible. Rather than, it's like, what a privilege I have to pay bills. I love that I have this. Okay, so busy, when you feel really busy, instead of feel, because what happens when you feel busy? It's like frantic, right? Whereas it's like, I choose never, I'm never going to be busy. Do I get a lot accomplished? Absolutely. But because I choose, I'm not going to feel busy, I'm going to feel directed. I'm going to feel focused. I always know how to spend my time. And if I don't, and I'm always figuring it out. So I don't have everything figured out already. So then curated life, aligning my actions with time. This was very interesting for so many of us with COVID because so many things were taken away and people were really uncomfortable because they finally actually could see, how do I spend my time? That buffer was kind of altered. Making decisions and sticking to it, that's going to be a whole other training. Decisions are the most powerful thing we can do. And then you build your confidence because you're like, I'm always figuring this out. So you learn to trust yourself. You're willing to feel any feeling, right? It's just like, oh yeah, this is just how I do it. And then your opinion of yourself changes and you evolve. All right, so the results you can expect is you're going to live a life with more freedom. You're not scrutinizing yourself. You're not going back. This is this is our past, and this is a rope tied around your waist. And if you do something different, or if you're trying to change and you're out of scarcity, it's like, it's not enough, and it's pulling you back. Whereas abundance is like, I always learn from my future. I'm always learning and growing. There's never, like, I can just trust myself. I'm going to just have faith in myself. I'm going to focus on the intention that I had in doing it. So did I mess up? Yeah. But what was my intention? My intention was to help people. My intention was to create, a home of love. Were you the best mom all the time? No, we're human, right? But my intention was, I'm going to be the best mom I want to be, or grandma, or quilt guild president, or whatever it is. Okay. But if we keep going to the past, that scarcity of not enough, then we never can. So we have to cut that rope. Okay. We need to accept ourselves, our decisions, our life, our relationships. We need to learn to get our own back. And we're no longer going to the past. It's like my client today about blaming herself of the death of her dog because a workman opened the door when he was told not to, and the dog ran out and got hit. Okay. So how often do we do that? So that's what you can expect. All right. So thank you for joining this free training. That was super fun. I really hope that you got so much out of learning that you don't have to have that enoughness any longer, and that you can really adopt this abundant mindset. So if you liked what you learned today, then I know you're going to like my Love Yourself Thin program. And the next one is July 26th. It's a 12-week program. It's $3,000 and it's incredible. There's just so much. And in fact, I'm going to talk a little bit about that, but I also wanted to say I'm going to have a pop-up group called Summertime Body Love. And I love how the description, I want to just read it how I wrote it, because so how we're doing that is you're going to ditch the old thoughts about our bodies and how to reframe our experience without punching ourselves in the face. So if we are in the habit of punching ourselves in the face about our body, because we're like rejecting it and avoiding it and resisting it and all of that, and it's not enough, that scarcity, like what's wrong with it, and just judgment and all of that, then we are just like bruised and feel terrible about ourselves. Okay. So we're going to learn about some summertime body love. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be 4 days. And I want to invite you all to that. So the other option that you can do to work with me, and so for those of you who have worked with me in the past, you qualify. Those of you who haven't, then you qualify for this. But I do have a few spots left in my mastermind. We just started it yesterday. They are really amazing. I'm calling them the dream team. It's really fun. If you want to take this work, so those of you who have worked with me in the past, and if you're feeling stuck and you're not doing this mental work that you want to, I invite you to take this opportunity to join my mastermind. It is going to be 7 months. So we're started and we have a next call tomorrow morning. You haven't missed out. Yesterday was everyone introduced themselves and I gave you the assignment so I could send it to you right now. And then tomorrow is a coaching day. And we're going to just really work through our goals and just get coaching. But so if you are on here and you aren't getting the success that you want, and you're feeling stuck, I invite you to come to my mastermind. It will help you. You will have 7 months. So 6 months, we're doing the month of July weekly calls. And then the month of August is off. You'll have some video calls video lessons from me. And you have the reading list from it. And so you will be able to self-study, I'm going to call it, in August. You will have weekly calls though. Your Body Is Not Your Enemy from Dana Palmer, and Mondays, which will all be recorded. And then we're going to get back to work in September. And the cost is only $6,000. It is actually the price of my Love Yourself Thin program, and it's limited to a small number of people. And I will never offer it at that price again. Okay. So if you want to work on this mental and physical weight, I invite you to do so. I think there's a reason why there's a few spots left, because there's a few people that are really on the fence. But like I said, making a decision and sticking to it is so powerful. All right. So I'm going to, are there any questions that you have about any of these programs? About my mastermind, about Love Yourself Thin, 12 weeks, starting July 26th. And for those people who joined today, I reward action takers. So if you join today by midnight, you will get access to my treasure trove of past classes, which is, I think, I can't remember. There's a lot of hours. It's amazing. And you're also welcome to come to my Monday Perfection Recovery classes, and you will get the digital copy of Perfection Recovery in your email. Like as soon as I get the payment, you get it. And so if you want to sign up, you can just go to darathomason.com, and there's a little tab that says work with me, and you just scroll that down. There's a PayPal link, and you can pay on your credit card as well. Does anyone have any questions about any of that? So the pop-up group is going to be 4 days, and you will go into a private Facebook group. It's going to be who else has been in a pop-up group? They're super fun. I love teaching them. I love creating that for you. So it's been really fun to have you today. And I didn't have time today actually to go through all of the benefits of Love Yourself Thin. There are so many of them. Not only do you get the 12-week guide of truly walking you through weight loss science is simple, emotions are the key to the universe, and you actually start learning how to to create this future version of you, so you can be like me and my clients who lose lots of weight and keep it off. But you also get a private Facebook group. You have access to me throughout that. You have a group of quilters, women that are all wanting the same results. There's just so many benefits. So what I'm going to ask you to do, if you are curious, you can actually message me. I have time from 2 until 3 today, Pacific. So if you want to take advantage of this limited offer, just because I do reward people who come, then we can book a time from 2 until 3. And if you want something within that time, great. And then, yeah, let's do this thing. Any other questions? All right, ladies. It was so much fun to have you. I love seeing all these new women on here. So I do want to acknowledge you, and I really appreciate and all those. It's so much fun. Of my webinars, there's some amazing, well, all of my previous clients are amazing. I love them all. And it's so much fun that they're always on these trainings. That just shows how amazing this program is. They just come to everything that I do. So for all of you, this is the first time that you've been here. I really want to welcome you. And I want, if you are feeling inclined to do this work, to really change your mindset from not enoughness, which comes from scarcity, which of course you see the results of it, then, better hurry, better do this thing. I don't want you to actually make that decision from that scarcity. I want you to really be a part of, I can trust myself. I feel good about this. I'm happy. I can learn to trust. I can learn to have faith in myself. I can really start looking at my intention on things. I can change. And I do want to tell you this before I close, is that I believe any woman or man, I don't coach men, but any quilter, there's men quilters. If you want to, you're welcome. But I believe anybody can lose this weight and keep it off if they are willing to put in to practice the principles that I teach. I know you can. So if you have a health issue, if you have a history, if you have PCOS, if you have any of it, you can lose this weight and keep it off. Okay. And it doesn't matter how old you are, it's totally possible. So I totally believe that it's in your ability. And I know that I am the coach to help you get there. So can't wait to meet you in Love Yourself Thin in my pop-up group. And for those of you who are like on the fence of the mastermind, why wouldn't you join? Why wouldn't you put yourself in a room for 7 months with women? Most of the women have worked with me for a year, some not totally a year, but who are so committed. And if you feel like you don't qualify as the dream team, you already are. By the way, your worth is already set. But why not put yourself in that? Wouldn't that be the greatest gift you give yourself? And I just sent out the first worksheet because you're going to get a book called How to Have a Better Life. And it's from the Life Coach School. And I'm going to be giving it to you. And it blows my mind. And it's a special bonus in the mastermind. And one of the things that I'm helping the very first month is to really learn the model, because the promise of the mastermind is you can create any result in your life. And so as you learn to master the model, so learning to understand your unconscious thoughts and your conscious thoughts, you literally will be able to create whatever you want. And you won't be at the mercy of Dara. Like I'm teaching you, right? But you're going to create that independence. You're going to be able to create that ability to coach yourself in a powerful way. I have the same tools. I'm just really committed to them. And I'm going to give you a lot of really good structures for you to have that success. So for $6,000, or even you can pay $8,000 to have monthly calls with me. That's another option that I gave. But I would love you to be in the mastermind. So there are several women on here who qualify. I'm talking right to you. And those women who don't, you need to get in my Love Yourself Thin program so that you can qualify another time. This is truly the greatest gift you can give, because your mind is your best investment. It is. You can lose everything. But if your mind is there, and if you have such a clean mind and you're so conscious and you're so abundant and you're so open, you can create anything. And I am a great example of that. So, all right, ladies, so fun to have you here. Please contact me for Love Yourself Thin if you don't. And then if you want the mastermind, you got to do it. All right, take care. Bye.